Hey guys, it's Deena, your mindset evolutionary here at flynubianqueen.com, the network for melanated women just like me and you, and welcome to the fellas too. Tonight we are asking the question, Black women, do we accept ourselves fully, lovingly, and do we accept our own humanity? And do we accept ourselves at a high value? And I know I kind of butchered that question. Let me see how I wrote it on the on the Facebook page while I wait for some of you to come in. While you guys are coming in, please hit the thumbs up, the like, the share, the subscribe button. I really appreciate that you all are here. I'm so happy to see you, as always, every Sunday night to join me, Deena Jacobs, here on flynubianqueen.com at 7 p.m. Pacific time and 10 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm just pulling up this question the way I posted it. I'm just laughing at myself right now because of this. I need to be more prepared. How about that? Queens, do we accept ourselves, or are we in denial of our own value and humanity? Self-acceptance as an act of warfare. Okay, so that is the question tonight. For some reason, I could not get it to post into the where I put the different things for us to read along and follow along. For some reason, I couldn't get it to post. I was having some technical difficulties right before I started. But I just want to say hello to Stephen Thrower, most definitely high value. Absolutely. I definitely want people to put in their comments, put in their questions, anything. So this is a continuation of last week's talk where we were getting into the quote. We were exploring the quote from Audre Lorde. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So this week we're continuing to expand on that ideology. Last week we talked about a history of self-care. We touched on, we really got into deep, like what does it mean to care for oneself. We also talked a little bit about who Audre Lorde is, and we went over some of her quotes. The master's tool will never dismantle the master's house. Without community, there is no liberation. And so that's something that, I really like that quote, and I feel like that's what we're doing here at Fly Nubian Queen, is we're forming community that will lead to our liberation. We have to consciously study how to be tender with each other until it becomes a habit. That's also one of Audre Lorde's quotes. Okay, so we have to consciously study how to be tender with each other until it becomes a habit. And so I want to take that and I want to shift that quote just a little bit. I want to tweak it just a little bit to say we have to consciously study how to be tender with ourselves until it becomes a habit. And that's what we're going to jump into with this self-acceptance. So we touched on it a little bit at the end of last week's video. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out on flynubianqueen.com Facebook page. You will see a playlist that is Deena Jacobs Live, and you can click in there and you can see the previous week's videos as well as videos I've been doing since I started here with Fly Nubian Queens. Beverly Connolly says, I am fearfully, wonderfully made by the Most High. Yes, indeed. Beverly Connolly is echoing also what Stephen Thrower said earlier, that most definitely high value. So here we are, ladies. Do we accept ourselves? Let's get deep into this. Now, self-acceptance, according to Wikipedia, it can be defined as the awareness of one's strengths and weaknesses, the realistic yet subjective appraisal of one's talents, capabilities, and general worth, and feelings of satisfaction with one's self despite deficiencies and shortcomings, and regardless of past behaviors and choices. And I think we want to go over that again. And I want us to really think individually, do you accept yourself? And then also as the community of Black women, are we self-accepting? Self-acceptance can be defined as, according to Wikipedia, the awareness of one's strengths and weaknesses, The realistic yet subjective, meaning biased, meaning from your own viewpoint, appraisal of one's talents, capabilities, and general worth, and feelings of satisfaction with one's self despite deficiencies, shortcomings, and regardless of past behavior and choices. So if we're looking at that meaning of self-acceptance, okay, and then we're looking at self-acceptance from the article that I posted here, self-acceptance, greater self-acceptance improves emotional well-being, by Sereni Pillay, MD, which was posted on May 16th of 2016 on the health.harvard.edu blog. So if you, again, I always put the links here if you ladies and gentlemen would like to go back and check out some of the resources that I'm using and touching upon, please feel free to do that. So according to Dr. Pillay, self-acceptance, it's an individual's acceptance of all his or her attributes, positive or negative. So let's look at that. Do you accept yourself, ladies and gentlemen? But mostly I'm speaking to the ladies, Black ladies. Do you accept yourself in all of your attributes, positive and negative? And this would go like with your individual self, but also, are we accepting of who we are in the greater society? And this goes back to self-care, and then ultimately this goes deeper into self-love. Because when you love yourself, you have to love those sides of yourself that are not always so lovable, not always so pretty. Some of those sides of us that are like stereotypical, some of those sides of us where we are feeding into the larger society's worst ideologies of us, we have to love those sides of ourselves too on some level. Because if we're thinking back to Dr. Tawede Grills and what she talked about, the suffering we have according to Black inferiority complex, a lot of us have a Black inferiority complex. And so we have, in order to shed light on that aspect of ourselves, our shadow selves, as I've touched on in some other videos as well, the dark side of yourself, you have to love that part too. And as you love that aspect of yourself, you can begin to heal it. And then you can focus in on those aspects of yourself that are good. Right? This is part of self-acceptance. So we look at what Google says, or Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is saying the awareness of one's strengths and weaknesses. So do we, I will pose this question to those who are watching, do we, as individuals, you can speak on yourself, and then also let's jump into, well, first of all, let's do that. Do we, as individuals, accept ourselves? And let me see if I can see your comments, because sometimes this does not want to cooperate, but there we go. All right, now, let me not say it doesn't want to cooperate. Let's just say I don't know how to use it, and that's one of my weaknesses. I'm still learning how to use the live streaming technology, so bear with me. Okay, Beverly Connolly puts up all these hearts, and yes, right back at you, darling. I'm so glad you're here. Yvette Bates says, I need to learn self-acceptance. I'm 46 and I'm starting over in life. Been depressed for weeks, but I'm trying to push through. Yvette, darling, I got you. Hold tight, okay? Let me read these other comments. Abeng Ngo Baleng Duport says, hey, Queen, bonjour from France. Bonjour. Abina Ngo Baleng Duport says, I accept me. Yes, 100 she puts. Absolutely. Okay, let's put that up there. And then let's see. We also have another one. Beverly Connolly says, self-love is a daily regimen. If you're not capable of loving oneself, you cannot transcend love to others. Absolutely. We're going to talk about self-transcendence too. We're going to get really, really deep. But I want to go back and I want us to send some love out to Yvette Bates tonight. Okay. So again, we're going to reference back to Audre Lorde's quote. We have to consciously study how to be tender with each other until it becomes a habit. Because who's going to be tender to the Black woman if if we're not tender to ourselves and then with each other? There's a sisterhood that we have, you know? And so, Yvette, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about you need to learn self-acceptance. You're 46 and you're starting over in life. Been depressed for weeks, but I'm trying to push through. Yvette, accept where you are right now and see it as your blessing that you have the capability, the courage, right? So this is, I'm just giving you my interpretation. I don't know your life. I don't know your story, but if you're open to hearing it, I hope that I can give some, shed some light on this for you. All right. I'm going to hold your hand for a moment, sis. Okay, so we're looking at self-acceptance, right? An individual's acceptance of all of his or her attributes, positive or negative. That's from Dr. Pillay from the Harvard Health blog, right? Then we have Wikipedia, which says awareness of one's strengths and weaknesses. The realistic yet subjective appraisal of one's talents, capabilities, and general worth. So I'm going to just hazard to say that if you are 46, you're still a relatively young woman, right? Now you're getting to the peak of middle age, which a lot of people would say is around 50, right? Because we know you're going to live a long and beautiful life. You're not even halfway there, sis. So let's look at the strengths of your situation, right? The strengths of your situation is that you are at a place where you can start over. You have the strength to start over. And you have a vision now that you can even allow yourself to start over. Do you know there are so many people who are just stuck exactly where they are and they can't even imagine how to get out of the situation that they're in? You're past that point. You have pushed yourself by hook or by crook, because we don't know if it was a situation that you decided to leave willingly or that you manifested some situation that propelled you out of it and pushed you forward, right? We don't know how that unfolded for you, but what I'm saying to you now is that you have the wherewithal, you have the courage, and you have the self-love to realize that, boom, I need to hit that reset button and I need to start over. Try as much as you can to check off all the good things, all the blessings you have in your life right now. You're alive. You have the ability to be here right now and bless me with your presence, right? You're here. You're with us. You're in community at flynubianqueen.com. You're in a sisterhood of queens, and you are a queen. There have been many queens who have been dethroned and had to figure out how to get back on their throne. Liken yourself to Queen Cleopatra, if that will give you some inspiration. They came over and they tried to take over her whole situation in Egypt. And she was dethroned, basically. And she had to figure out and finagle and finesse those Caesar and Mark Antony. She had to finesse them and figure out how to reclaim her kingdom. So if you think you got problems, imagine being like a real life queen and being dethroned and then trying to figure out, you know, they trying to kill you basically, because, you know, they don't typically dethrone somebody and let them live, right? So there's like a price on your head. And look at her for inspiration. She is one of our ancestors. I know that's kind of like out there and, you know, it's like reaching, but that's what you have to do when you're starting over. And when you're accepting even those ugly parts of yourself and those parts when you are at your lowest, you have to be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, right? And you have to have a realistic yet subjective appraisal of your talents, capabilities, and general worth. Yvette Bates, I am asking you right now, what is your worth? in this particular moment? Are you scared? Are you anxious? Are you angry, upset with yourself, with others? Take a moment and allow yourself that time and that space to accept where you are right now and feel it and be present in that moment. Be present in the moment to know that this is just this moment, that things are going to change, and they are going to change for the better for you. But you have to stay focused. You have to stay focused on your level up, because this could be the moment that you could level up. You could look at Sierra. She was left at the altar, basically, you know, engaged to a bum, about to make a mistake in her life, and didn't even realize it until she got the hindsight of it. So look at your situation and say, there is something better coming for me, and I accept myself, and I accept all the choices that I made to get me to this point. And I understand that I have certain strengths, and then think about what those strengths are, and then recognize what your weaknesses are and how your strengths and weaknesses complement each other. Okay? Think about your talents, your capability, and understand that regardless of where you are now, you are still of high value. And maybe you're in this situation because you do value yourself. So you had to make a change. You had to make a shift. You had to start all over. You love yourself and value yourself so much that the reset button had to get pushed in your life. I'm starting over. I've started over a lot of different ways. I've shared with you all many times that I'm in therapy because I realized that some things were not moving in the direction that I had in my vision. And I was like, what's going on? And I realized that it had to be something within me that was causing me to have to constantly push the restart button on my relationships, my romantic relationships. Now I'm getting past that point. Now I'm understanding myself better. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy, but I knew that I know that I am worth it, and you are worth it. And I hope you got something from that. I hope you know that we here love you, we care about you, and do what you need to take care of you. So if you've been depressed for weeks, sis, what do you need to do to get yourself out of that point? Because you're not going to be able to move forward if you are stuck in a place of looking back. Usually people who are depressed are looking back instead of looking forward. And I'm not like a huge Bible person, but I do like some of the Bible stories. And so I just want to share this with you really quick, Yvette. You know the story of Lot's wife? And for all those Bible heads out there, don't come for me because I'm already admitting that I don't know the story word for word. But I think the general gist of it is that Lot's wife, God came and he saw that everybody was living in sin. It was terrible. And he gave a warning to Lot and his wife and his family. And he said, I'm going to burn a city. I want you to leave and don't look back. If you look back, it's going to be a problem. And so, they're leaving, they're running out, they're getting out. And guess what? Lot's wife, she looked back. And what? She turned to a pillar of salt. And that's why we say people are salty. Oh, she's salty. Why? Because they're focused on something that happened in the past. And they're bitter. And usually people who are depressed are anxious about something or fearful based on things that have happened in their past. If your old life has crumbled, maybe you can look at it that way and you can say, you know what? That life has crumbled for whatever reason. Maybe God's hand was in it, but definitely you and God are co-creators. So there's something in you that wanted to move yourself forward. Accept that. Be present with yourself. Love on yourself. Nurse your wounds. Do what you need to do. Take some time, but don't live there. Keep moving forward. And every time you catch yourself looking back, Shift your focus because you don't want to become bitter and you don't want to become salty and stunt your own movement forward. This is part of self-acceptance, is accepting that every action, everything that's going on in your life at the present moment is a result of the actions that you have taken in the past. So if something isn't working out for you, you got to identify where your weaknesses. And then you want to complement those weaknesses with your strengths. Where are my strengths? And then you want to project a vision into the future so that you can move forward. But be grateful in this moment, right? So I hope that helped. I hope that helped. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm hoping that that helped you. Let me see what your comments are. Beverly Connelly says, I accept myself fully at the age of 55. It's necessary. Well, praise to you, sister. Good job. I'm so happy to hear that you accept yourself, Beverly. I am working on that. I'm still a work in progress. I would say I'm probably about 85%, 80 to 85% fully self-accepting, maybe a little bit higher, but that's one of the things that I am working on in my therapy sessions. And I would say that how I have, some of you who may have known me from previously, I gave myself a makeover. So more and more, my outer is starting to reflect the inner beauty of my self-love and self-acceptance. So, okay, Beverly Wright says, hello. Hey, Beverly Wright. Yvette Bates says she gets it. She also put in 4 targets, so I'm hitting the mark. I'm glad to hear that, Yvette. We love you here, darling, and I hope you're loving yourself and taking care of yourself. Take time out. Go to the spa. If you can't afford a massage or something like that, a lot of spas will allow you, I think, for $50 or less to go in and just soak in the tubs, the steam room, even just spending some time like that. Even if you're not getting the massages and the body scrubs and the facials, even if you just go into that cocoon to go to the spa, or splurge on a massage, relax your body, go to the meditation center. I'm about to get into some transcendental meditation and see what that's all about. I'm doing what I need to do to get right with me. And I encourage you to, Yvette, to do what you need to do to get right with you so that you have the strength and the fortitude to move forward on this journey. Beverly Connolly says, speak positive affirmations daily. Absolutely, I do. When I catch myself thinking something negative and I do my self-checks and I catch like an anxiety and I'm having a thought and I identify that I'm feeling anxiety and I'm having a thought, and what I do is I try to detach them. And I look at the thought by itself. And usually a thought by itself, if you realize the thought isn't real. The thought is just a thought, but it is mind energy that can project out and manifest if you continue to attach emotion to it. So when you detach the emotion and you really look at that thought that was scaring you, a lot of times that thought it's not even real and it's coming from something in your past. And at that moment, you can recognize, you can ask yourself, well, where is this thought coming from? And self will tell you, well, it's coming from that time. Remember when you were 10 and this happened? That was pretty awful. We were so scared, remember? And then you can say to your younger self, this is inside your mind or out loud, however you want to do it. You can say to yourself, you can say, oh my gosh, yes, I remember that was scary then. And I forgive myself for thinking that I'm not strong enough or I'm not away from that situation or I don't love myself enough to do better than I did before. I'm kind of making it up because I can't think of a specific thing right now. But whatever your situation is, you can, self-talk is so important, how you talk to yourself. You have to be loving. You have to be caring. You have to be gentle with yourself. If you're catching yourself and, oh my God, you're so dumb, or that was stupid, maybe it wasn't the smartest move to make in that moment, but you can say, instead of thinking like, that was dumb, why'd you do that? Maybe you could say something to yourself like, wow, okay, next time I'm going to make a different choice. Next time I'm going to make a better choice, something that better suits me in this moment. Or you can say to yourself, because sometimes I do things that don't make sense and I can see the outcome isn't what I wanted. Lesson learned. And I say this to myself internally because I'm allowing myself the opportunity to make mistakes, because that's part of your journey. That's part of your growth. Nobody ever got to any goal or accomplished any goal or realized any vision without making mistakes. And so again, Yvette, be gentle with yourself. That's part of self-acceptance. Pretend as if you are a little baby girl. How would you talk to that little baby girl if she had to start all over when she was learning how to walk and she fell? Think about yourself that way. Okay, Beverly she is on it. Beverly, girl, you are doing it. I'm so proud of you. Beverly Connolly, speak positive affirmations. You become what you think. Law of attraction is very real. I think of myself as Queen Bee at all times. Beverly, Yvette, meet Beverly. She is also chiming in to give you some love and some care, sisters, some support. Thank you, Beverly. Beverly Connolly, start over as many times as you want until you begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Girl, I need to pull you up on this live stream. You're articulating this better than me. Thank God. I'm so glad that Beverly Connolly is here. Beverly Connolly also says, it is not how many times you fall. What matters is how many times you get back up. And then she put 4 hearts in there for you. Yvette, my darling, you have a lot of support here. And Yvette Bates says, it did, thank you. Yvette Bates says, I'll get there. You're right. My regrets were getting to me. That's right. Girl, sister girl. Me and Beverly, we're just going to hug you right now and tell you that it's okay. We've all done things that we regret. We've all done things like that. Those are the parts of yourself that you have to love and accept. And you know what? I want you to do this. Taking a note from what Miss Beverly Connolly suggested. I would love for you, Yvette, to look your beautiful self in the mirror and just say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself for the mistakes that I have made, and I'm going to love myself through this. I know I can do better. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that experience. And I'm so happy and proud that I made it through it. And I'm so happy with myself that I am able to see my mistakes and my faults. And I can get back up and keep going. And just cry yourself through that, because a lot of times when you start to forgive yourself and you're looking in the mirror and you say, I love myself, I accept myself, I forgive myself, it's going to bring up some old emotion. Allow yourself to release that. Give yourself some time to let it out. And as you're crying, tell yourself, comfort yourself, I love myself. It's okay. I love you. And look at yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and say, it's okay, we're going to do better. We've learned our lesson. We know I can move forward. I've learned. I've grown. Those are some of the things you can do to soothe yourself. Okay? And Yvette Bates says, I'll get there. You're right. My regrets were getting to me. Okay, I read that already. I'm so glad that we can be here for you and let you know that, girl, you got great things ahead of you. Just stay focused, stay present where you are now, and count your blessings where you are now. And then visualize, spend time envisioning the beautiful future you're going to have. You know? Okay, so Freddie Smith says, NOI, keep it moving, peace and blood. Hey, Freddie Smith. Freddie Smith says, what conflict are you having with yourself? Yvette Bates says, regrets of the past. Beverly Connolly says, you're truly welcome. More hearts, we love you. Beverly Connolly, so true, Yvette Bates, and I receive it. Beverly Connolly says, you are loved, Yvette, more than you will ever know. Absolutely. See, this is what I'm talking about this is what Audra's talking about. So, you know, our sister girl was out there being a poet. She was out there, you know, being a civil rights activist. And she was speaking her truth, which is partially our truth back in the 60s and 70s. And I love this quote. We have to consciously study how to be tender with each other until it becomes a habit. And right here in our comment section, you are You two are demonstrating how we can be tender with each other. Tender with each other, to know that sometimes people are going through something and they need a little encouragement, and they need to know that they are loved by the Most High, by the Creator, and that the Creator exists in all of us. And that creative spirit and that creative energy inside of you is radiating love. And if you deny yourself that love, that is what causes a lot of your problems, your emotional problems, your regrets of the past. Love yourself. You're a child of the universe. You're a child of God, however you want to look at it. And understand that as a child, the child inside you needs to be loved and nurtured. So whenever you make a mistake, nurture yourself as if you would your most beloved child. All right, we're going to keep it moving. So let's get back into, first of all, thank you guys for joining me, Deena Jacobs, your mindset evolutionary, here on flynubianqueen.com, the network for melanated women, just like Beverly Connolly, Yvette, myself, and Abing. I'm not sure if it's a man or woman. I can't tell by the photo because it's so small. But anyway, I just want to say thank you guys for coming here. If you haven't already, please hit the like, subscribe, share, thumbs up button. Continue to make comments in the comment section. That's what this is all about. This is all about a community of women coming together. I'm your mindset evolutionary. I'm here to guide Black women to freedom from negative conditioning, and I'm doing that by recognizing that we are the most brilliantly beautiful, gifted beings that there are on this earth. Black women, us, we are queens. And I'm so happy that I'm here on Fly Nubian Queen to be able to reach this audience. So we're going to continue to talk about tonight's topic, which is self-acceptance as an act of political warfare. Right? Last week we talked about self-care as an act of political warfare. Now we're getting even deeper. What does it mean to do self-care, right? What is self-care? Self-care is accepting yourself all the way around, the good and the bad, the things where you look back and you say, I regret doing that way. You learned something from that, didn't you, sis? Didn't you grow from that in some kind of way? There's a reason why you went on that path. You went that way instead of straight on the journey. There was something you needed to gain, some piece of wisdom. Look at it that way. What did you learn? What did you gain? How did you grow from that experience instead of looking at it as a regret? Maybe you can look at it as something that you needed to manifest in order for you to move forward in accomplishing the grander vision of what your life purpose is. Just a thought. So let's get back into Dr. Pillai's breakdown, right? So again, he says self-acceptance and individual's acceptance of all of his or her attributes, positive or negative. It includes body acceptance. Do we as Black women accept our bodies? And I'm not talking about, I want to clarify something. When I'm saying accepting our bodies, I understand that we don't want to fat shame nowadays, but I also want to say, I want us to be clear and aware that when we are overeating and we are allowing ourselves to move into a space of not only being overweight, but getting into a place of obesity, we understand that obesity is unhealthy. It is an illness to a certain extent, right? Because it comes along with the possibility of diabetes, stroke, clogged arteries, cancer, all kinds of things. So I'm saying, are we accepting our bodies in its natural, healthy state? Some of us are a little bit thicker than others, so I'm not talking about that. Some people got a little bit more body than others. What I'm talking about is when we're not accepting our bodies because maybe there was a trauma, maybe there was some shaming, maybe there was some things that went on in your childhood, some teasing of some sort that caused you to disconnect from your body and start to feed the emotions and therefore expand yourself and distort your body into a place where it's unhealthy. So think about that and start to accept your body and listen to your body, what it really wants and needs to be healthy and to serve you at the highest level, right? It also includes, according to Dr. Pillay, self-protection from too much negative criticism. Do we as Black women, self-protect from all this negative criticism from the outside society and community? Could we be better than that? Better at that? Is it possible that we could be better at that? Okay. And believing in one's capabilities. Do we believe in ourselves? Do we really believe in our Black girl magic? Do we really believe that? I know I'm working on believing that I am the most brilliantly beautiful, gifted being that this world has ever seen. I'm a Black woman. I'm Deena Jacobs, right? Mindset Evolutionary. I had to tell myself that because there was a part of me that was like, well, who do you think you are to go online and start talking to women about, mental and spiritual health and well-being and talking about you gonna guide Black women? Who are you? You supposed to be some Harriet Tubman of the spiritual realm or something? I definitely had those thoughts come into my mind. And then I was like, who am I not to do it? Who would I be if I feel this calling inside myself and I'm going on this personal journey and there's a calling inside myself to share aspects of this journey and be vulnerable and speak my truth because maybe other women would get something from it too? Who am I not to share that with the world? Maybe that's my purpose. And I'll tell you something, since I started doing it and I started accepting that part of myself that needed to be worked on and not being ashamed of it, to the point where I can get on a live stream and talk to thousands of people, because thousands of people are going to view this once it goes up. We might have a small handful of people here in the live stream. And I'm so happy that you all are here and joining me every week. But there are thousands of people who see these videos when they're posted up onto the Facebook page, and then also when they go onto YouTube. And in order for me to be comfortable enough to do that, I had to accept my shortcomings. I had to accept the fact that I was going through some things. There's some things that needed to be healed. And I had to accept the fact that I was going to need to be vulnerable. And I was going to have to push myself to be open with myself first, then with my therapist, and next with you, the public. And that way I can stand firm on my foundation of self-love. Remember, we were talking about self-love and boundaries? That infuses my boundaries because I accept myself. So there's nothing that anyone can come to say to me like, oh, that Deena, she crazy. Oh, she did. Yeah, Deena's got some stuff she needs to work on. Yeah, Deena might have been crazy at one time. Maybe Deena still is crazy. But you know what? I accept that about myself. I love myself. And hopefully I can stand here in my truth and you can see some piece of yourself and feel empowered, feel engaged, feel connected, and start to lay that strong foundation for yourself of self-love and acceptance. So again, let's look at this. It includes body acceptance, accepting our bodies. We have more voluptuous bodies. We have a different biological and DNA makeup than others. They know this. We know this. A lot of it has to do with our lovely and beautiful, blessed melanin, how we're able to process energy from the sun. We have to accept our dark skin. We have to accept whatever skin tone we are, if we're mixed, half, breed, octoroons, whatever we have in our history. The main thing is that we accept that aspect of ourselves, that we have melanin. We've been blessed with melanin. Melanin is beautiful. Melanin gives us so much life and energy. We have a special connection. We are people of the sun, right? So if we're not accepting our skin tone, or we're carrying around these thoughts in our mind that people don't like dark-skinned people or whatever, that's not accepting and loving yourself. That's internalizing someone else's drama. That's internalizing other people in the larger society's inferiority complex, because they have an inferiority complex too. They can't stand and tolerate the sun the same way we can. Imagine that you can't tolerate the sun. That's the thing that gives everything on this planet life and energy, except for you. That would make you feel kind of messed up, right? But we have been blessed that we have a special relationship with the sun. We feed off the energy of the sun. That's accepting our melanin. Are we doing that, ladies, when we're sitting up here feeling some kind of way and griping about dark-skinned women don't get, and dark-skinned women don't get, and nobody like dark-skinned women, and this and that? We have to let that go, because that is not accepting ourselves. Let them say and do and act however they want to. When you accept yourself, you can be Iman. When you accept yourself, you can become Naomi Campbell, the GOAT of the modeling industry. Indisputably, like no one can dispute that Naomi Campbell is the GOAT of modeling. And she came into it when it was dominated by white women. The only person she had to look up to was Iman. And Iman was dark-skinned African. These women are dark-skinned women, and they are icons of beauty. They broke the mold to when after Naomi came, they started getting ugly and odd and awkward looking models to come out and be the top models now. Plain Janes and ugly girls and girls, not ugly, but odd looking women, to be top models. Think about that. These Black women broke the mold on beauty. They're like, no one can top Naomi Campbell. Iman was the ish, right? And then came Naomi, and it was like, look, if we keep letting these beautiful African melanated dark-skinned queens and they breaking the mold, look, we got to start getting some oddball chicks. We got to start doing something they can't do. We got to get some weird-looking chicks up in here. And now look at the modeling industry. They have broken the mold to where now you see beauty from all aspects. That is self-acceptance. That a woman with vitiligo can become a top model. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is self-acceptance. Self-protection from negative criticism. That is what we need. Let our melanin be our armor. Because that's what it is. It protects us from the sun and gives us energy and vitamin D. And believing in one's capabilities. We have to believe in ourselves, Black ladies, Black women, queens. We got to believe in ourselves. So many people have low self-acceptance, according to Dr. Pillay. There can be many reasons for this. And Yvette, I want you to listen up. There can be many reasons for this, but one widely accepted theory is that because we develop our self-esteem in part from others appreciating us. How many times do we as Black women look for the outside world, the outside community? And even we are expecting our men, right? We have the nerve to expect our men to appreciate us when sometimes we're not even appreciating ourselves. Struggle love, anybody? You have to appreciate yourself before you can look to others, your children, before you can look to others, your man, before you can look to others, your greater family, before you can look to others, the community, before you can look to others, the society. If we as Black women want to be appreciated, right? He's saying that there can be, most people have very low self-acceptance. Now, in the Black community, it can be debatable if we have more or less self-acceptance, but I definitely see some things online that are pointing towards maybe there's a segment of us who have very low self-acceptance. And sometimes it is within that darker skin community. I hear them get online and, well, it's different for us because, we're dark skinned and it's different for us. And I'm not saying that what you're facing isn't real, but what I'm saying is don't internalize it. I'll say that again. It's a choice whether or not you internalize it. And so what this doctor is saying, there can be many reasons for this, but one widely accepted theory is that because we develop our self-esteem in part from others appreciating us, right? So we've developed that at an early age of quote unquote not being appreciated as Black women, as the melanated women, some of us, right? People with low self-acceptance may have had parents who lacked empathy, or a greater society that lacked empathy towards us as Black women. During our childhood, during our development, we're looking at TV, we're seeing certain things don't mesh. We're starting to get the subliminals of the programming, right? When I was young, they didn't have a lot of Black dolls and Black Barbies. We didn't have social media where we can go online and see people speaking directly to us, right? Everything was focused on Becky. And we had to kind of like figure things out, you know, in our community. But then we also had the programming from TV and things like that. So, you know, it creates a duality within yourself where you have to reconcile. Now, consequently, he says, in their adult lives, they may need much stronger affirmations from others than most people do. In other words, ordinary levels of approval do not move the needle on their self-esteem. So he's saying that people who have low self-acceptance need more affirmations, stronger affirmations from the outside, and normal levels of affirmations that might come like something like, girl, you doing it, oh, your skin is so pretty. It doesn't make them feel any better because they have such a low self-esteem, low self-acceptance. So when you're seeking from the outside, and this is what we're getting to, this is what he's getting to, the link is there if you want to go read more about it. When you're seeking from the outside, you're always going to have low self-esteem. Because the outside world, they're busy with their own stuff. They don't have time for you. You have to make time for you, and then others will act accordingly. You have to love you, and then others will act accordingly. You have to care for you, Black woman, and then others will act accordingly. Yvette, feel your feelings and release them. And every time they come up, you say, I forgive myself, I love myself, and I am moving forward to greatness. And you take that moment, just a moment, don't live there. That's the whole thing. When you say you've been there for weeks, maybe you need to go see somebody. Maybe you need to talk to someone besides us here. But if you don't, if you feel like you're lifting out of it and you want to work on it a little bit yourself, try some of these things. If they're not working for you, go see someone. There's no shame in that. We all need a little help from time to time. That's why we are here on this planet with billions of people. He didn't put us here alone. Go see a professional if you need to. Okay, so let's continue with what Dr. Pillay is telling us. Some people with low self-acceptance try to bolster it by accomplishing great things. But this only helps your self-esteem for a while. That's because achievement is a poor substitute for intimacy. In addition, these people are often under the impression that taking it when suffering is the main reflection of their value. How many times have we as women, Black women, been told that we are strong and we're good at taking it, and people just love to see a Black woman suffer. They just love to see us suffering down and struggling. And I'm gonna be all right. They love to see us on TV. They killed my baby. It's gonna be all right. I forgive you. Right? And I'm not saying that to make fun. I'm saying that to show how ridiculous that ideology is for us to hold on to. Our value does not increase through our suffering. Our value increases when we decide as individuals and as a collective that we are better than sitting around suffering, that we are worth more than the current value that's being placed on us. When we decide for ourselves that we no longer desire to be in a place of we're so strong or we're strength, you know, we find that suffering or we can take it because we're Black women and you know, no, we don't have to carry the world on our shoulders anymore, ladies. That does not increase our value. Sitting around and struggle love, being a single mom, talking about I got this, I'm an independent lady, you know, stuff happens. Believe me, I know things happen. But we don't want to get in the mindset of thinking our value has increased or we're celebrating the fact that we've gone through all of this suffering. Yes, you celebrate the fact that you came out of something, right? But you don't keep putting yourself through stuff, thinking that that's going to continue to increase your value. You take care of yourself. You honor yourself. You respect yourself. And you know that who you are in this moment is of the highest value that you can be at this moment. And you can ever increase that value by continuing to take care of yourself and accept every aspect of who you are. Who we are. There's nothing bad about us. There's nothing ugly about us. Everything about us is amazing. It's great. It's brilliant. Everything about us is beautiful. Everything about us, we are so gifted as a people. We're Black women. We need to accept that and own it. We are queens. We need to we can reclaim our throne when we truly accept that we're queens. When we truly accept our greatness, our beauty, our brilliance, our gifted, our creativity, our Black girl magic, when we truly own that, that will be the end of our suffering. When we truly accept ourselves, that will be the beginning of the end of our suffering on this planet. And that is a vision and a premonition that I'm sharing with you now. You are free to take it or leave it. But I am offering it to you as something that you can share that vision with me, and hopefully that will move you forward. That will pull you forward into accepting yourself 100% completely, because that is what I'm working on. I love myself. I love myself. It feels so good to say. Look in the mirror and do that for yourself. I accept myself 100% completely. Positives and negatives. And that gives me the peace of mind. That gives me that foundation. That makes me feel good that my boundaries are intact. That I can self-assess where I am from moment to moment when I need to, when I'm feeling uncomfortable. And be okay with mistakes that I make and understand that I'm still learning and I'm still growing. Okay, so there are 3 ways, according to Dr. Pillay, 3 ways to increase your self-acceptance, right? So, the last thing he says is it's hard for them, people who have low self-acceptance, to believe in genuine caring, and when it doesn't their way, they're suspicious of it. When you're suspicious of it, that means you think you're not worthy. And so you're vibrating energy that causes people to mistreat you and to make decisions from a place of negative vibrational energy. So you're not trusting yourself, and therefore you're going to choose things that are going to hurt you more, because you're probably second guessing yourself subconsciously. Now, there are 3 ways to increase self-acceptance. 1 is self-regulation. Oh my gosh, the hour's almost up. 1 is self-regulation. 2 is self-awareness, and 3 is self-transcendence. So let's go over these pretty quickly here. Self-regulation involves suppressing negative emotions such as self-hatred. Do we in the Black community as women have some self-hatred? Some can say yes, some can say no. If Dr. Toetic Reels is correct in her assessment that a lot of us are suffering from Black inferiority, if you think you're inferior, there's an element of hatred within that, if I'm not mistaken. So some of us may be feeling some internal self-hate. We may be beating ourselves up, punishing ourselves for decisions and choices that we made in the past, for things about us that are not changeable. Like some people might think their skin is Black. That's not changeable, so you need to love that. Right? So he says self-regulation involves suppressing negative emotions such as self-hatred. Now he says suppress. I've always heard that the word suppress is not good. I think it's like releasing, just my take on it. But self-regulation involves releasing negative emotions such as self-hatred and refocusing on the positive aspects of yourself and reframing negative situations so that you see opportunities for growth and learning in them. For example, looking for ways in which negative criticism can help you grow constitutes reframing. So people think your hair is nappy, or dark-skinned chicks are ugly or whatever, right? These little things that go around and exist in our minds that, you know, I'm not as beautiful as a white woman or whatever, right? Some of these insecurities that we have, or, you know, all black women are ratchet, okay? All black women are hoes or something like that, right? So you hear these things, right? And then you say, okay, what are these criticisms? How can I grow from them? How can I grow from the thought that dark skin is ugly? How do I reframe that? It's like, okay, maybe they see dark skin as ugly because of the fact that they have to wear sunscreen just to go outside and the sun is not friendly towards them. They burn in the sun. So maybe that's their projection that the sun has darkened our skin, has burnt us. So they're coming from a place of negativity. But for me, my dark skin is my protection. So I love my dark skin because my dark skin takes care of me. It protects me. It makes me less vulnerable to damage. It keeps me looking young and youthful. My dark skin is a blessing from God. I get so much, like, I get vitamin D from it. You know, I can process the vitamin D. I feel healthy when I go out in the sun. Like, think about it that way. That's how you reverse it, and you start being grateful and saying, oh, I love my dark skin. My dark skin is wonderful. And then you become like me and you go outside and you start tanning. And then your friends are like, you trying to get darker? I'm like, yes, I love being black. I love it. You know, I love being chocolate. I feel like I look better. I look prettier. You can't see my blemishes. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about, ladies. Embrace that dark skin. Embrace it and wear it proudly. And then see how they react. All right. So the next one is self-awareness. Lack of self-acceptance can be deeply unconscious, right? So if it's unconscious, that means that you don't even recognize it on your mental. And that's where therapy can come in, right? Because I'm in therapy and there are things coming up that I wasn't even thinking about, that I'd forgotten about, that I didn't realize I was operating under certain negative belief systems until I went into therapy and I started to become more self-aware and really listen to myself. So again, Dr. Pillay says, self-awareness, lack of self-acceptance can be deeply unconscious. That is, it can exist at a level beyond our conscious control. Also, when you do not accept or forgive yourself, and Yvette, I hope you're still here, still listening. When you do not accept or forgive yourself, you are still split from yourself. You're creating a schism inside of yourself, a duality, and they can't match up, right? Split personalities, bipolarism, right? Mental illnesses that arise because you're not in alignment with yourself. You're not accepting yourself. That me, myself, and I is three different individuals. You're not allowing them to come together because one of them is not being accepted, right? So he says, also, when you do not accept yourself or forgive yourself, you are still split from yourself. You do not feel together. And so you know how some people are like, I don't feel like myself today. I don't feel good. I'm not, I'm not feeling myself. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Having regrets and stuff like that is not accepting you as you were and who you're becoming. You're not allowing those people to come into alignment when you have regrets. Both of these parts, he says, the one that needs to forgive and the one that needs to be forgiven are at odds with each other. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier when I was speaking to Yvette, and I was saying, you got to look in the mirror when you make mistakes sometimes and be like, oh my gosh, I forgive myself. I love you and I forgive you. I forgive you. I know that you're still learning. Lesson learned. We learned something. What did we learn? What did I learn from that? And sometimes you messed up so bad that you got to look in the mirror and you got to cry and say, I know, I'm sorry. I forgive you. I forgive you. I've learned from this. I learned from this. And it's okay. Sometimes I make mistakes. You have to be gentle with you. You have to treat you like a child that's learning how to walk, like your child that's learning how to walk, who just fell on their booty, taking their first steps. That's how you have to accept yourself. That's how you need to become self-aware. What are the things inside of you? What are the parts of yourself? Shine that light on those dark aspects of yourself. What parts of yourself are you not accepting of? If you can't be vulnerable with yourself, who can you be vulnerable with? And when one of those thoughts comes up, don't push it down. Don't push it down and try to get rid of it. Let it come up and then illuminate it. Shine your bright, beautiful light on it. When a negative thought from the past or something you went through in the past comes up, acknowledge it. Feel the emotion that comes with it. Separate the two. See the thought as something on its own. And acknowledge, what am I feeling right now while this thought is present? And then acknowledge that you're safe, you're okay, you forgive yourself, you love yourself. Calm, shift, and change that emotion. That is self-awareness when you do self-checks. And we've spoken about that before here on this channel. And number 3, self-transcendent. Now this is the deep one. When you are self-transcendent, you rely on things outside of yourself to define you. When you are self-transcendent, you rely on things outside of yourself to define you. Instead, you turn to an unforced sense of connectedness with the world. You can achieve this by contributing to work, family, or the community at large. The goal is to seek unity with some system in a way that is heartfelt and authentic. Any of the methods I've described in this post may also contribute to self-transcendence. So transcendent value is a value that surpasses all differences and unifies a group. So that's value that has transcended. So that's part of my goal, my vision here with Deena Jacobs Mindset Evolutionary, is to create value that transcends. We're creating a value for Black women that transcends the individual Black woman and goes up into the community and then out into the larger society and then becomes global. That's what this is. Fortunately, just like self-acceptance, self-transcendence is also engenders physical changes in the brain. So basically what Dr. Pillay is saying is that when you are starting to accept yourself, it changes your chemistry, your brain chemistry. Just like self-acceptance, self-transcendence engenders or leads to physical changes in the brain. It has been associated with increased serotonin transporters availability in the brain stem. As mentioned earlier, this same region impacts self-acceptance. Transcendental meditation is another potential tool to consider for self-transcendence. It decreases cortisol and reduces your stress response. So transcendental meditation is another potential tool to consider for self-transcendence. And so basically, when you're in self-transcendence, you are elevating your mind and your spirit so that you can connect those two. So you're moving out of yourself to connect yourself. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but hold on, let me see how he says it. Instead, you turn to an unforced sense of connectedness. So if you're feeling disconnected inside of yourself because you're not accepting a part of yourself, you have to turn to an unforced sense of connectedness with the world. And when you connect yourself to the greater world, when you connect yourself to the larger, like, universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? Allah, all the different names that people have for, you know, that spirit that exists within and without, that creative force. When you meditate and you focus on your connectedness with the greater good, you automatically fuse back with yourself. You automatically fuse that part that you're disconnected with in yourself. You know, all is one, and one is all. You're all connected in some way, shape, or form. We're all connected. We're connected inner and outer. So if you're having trouble connecting and accepting yourself, then start to transcend that divide. Start to transcend yourself and connect with the universe. And that can be through meditation, through prayer. And that will bring you back, boom, to connect with that side of yourself that you're not accepting. Because we're all connected. So when you move beyond the schism inside yourself and go and connect with the one, it's going to come back into you and connect you. And that is a very powerful experience. And I'm just going to share this with you, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are still here. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. Deena, Mindset Evolutionary, here at flynubianqueen.com, the network for melanated women just like you and me. And also welcome and thank you for being here to the men. I am looking into transcendental meditation this coming week. Let's see. I think it's going to be this weekend coming up, because I'm kind of excited. When I started doing this research, like I said, we are on this journey together about how to accept oneself as a part of self-care, right? I was like, transcendental meditation, self-transcendence, transcendent value, a value that surpasses all differences and unifies a group. I was like, wow, I feel like we as Black women in America, we could use some of this. So let me try this out. Let me explore this. So next Sunday, I am going to share my experience on transcendental meditation. Now, I am going to an intro sort of workshop, so I'm not exactly sure if we're going to actually start to meditate there or not, but I'm going to report back to you, ladies, and let you know how it went, what it was about, and what it was like. And, you know, I'm going to share that with you. So again, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, please hit the like, subscribe, share, hit those thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, please do the same. If you're on Facebook, I would love for you to take a moment and do that right now. Thank you for joining me every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, on flynubianqueen.com, on Facebook Live, and then on the repost on Fly Nubian Queen YouTube channel. If you haven't, please go to Fly Nubian Money so you can get your money up. Go to Fly Nubian Business to learn how to start a business. And please check us out on iTunes. We have an iTunes podcast, Fly Nubian Queens. You can take the queens on the go. And please text the word Queens to 31996. Text the word Queens to 31996. I want to say thank you all for joining me, Deena Jacobs. I love you so much. Mwah. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Goodbye.